My name is Tyler Kamp. I'm running for Maricopa County Sheriff. The number one objective for a sheriff is to protect the community. And so every decision I make, every policy I make, should be viewed through the lens of, will this make us safer? Will this allow us to feel safer? But before I get into my vision for public safety, I think it's important to understand a little bit of where I came from. I'm a fifth generation Maricopa County resident. My great-grandparents moved out here from Oklahoma well over 100 years ago. I have family all spread out all across this county. I love this county. I love people. I worked for the Phoenix Police Department for 21 years. I spent over half my career investigating organized crime, investigating human trafficking, investigating drug trafficking. I was drawn to the most violent element in our community. I really wanted to protect the most vulnerable in our community. I promoted through the ranks and I retired in 2021 as a lieutenant, or what you might call a shift commander. I was in charge of a precinct or sometimes two precincts at a time when I was working over the weekends. I planned on working 10 more years with Phoenix Police, but there was an opportunity for me to work overseas. A previous supervisor I had presented me with this opportunity. And so after long discussions with my wife and my family, we decided to move to West Africa, a country called Ghana in West Africa. I worked for a nonprofit group investigating human trafficking. We returned after approximately 1 year to the States. For this past year, I've been working for Goodwill and other local nonprofits. I learned something I didn't expect, just the importance and the impact nonprofits can have on our public safety. One of the missions, or the main mission of Goodwill, is ending poverty through the power of work. They like to give people a hand up instead of a handout. I thought that was so important. And so in October, when Sheriff Paul Pinzone's team reached out to me to ask me if I'd be interested in running for sheriff, I paused and I thought to myself, okay, what's my vision for public safety? And it was pretty easy as I look back on my career being a crime fighter with Phoenix Police, working overseas, working with governments of state, learning diplomacy overseas, and then returning home and learning to work with our nonprofit groups. It gave me a new perspective on how to problem solve. And so I just want to share with you three main points where I think that I would like to do as sheriff to help make us a safe community. And that's ensuring justice for everybody. We have to ensure justice for everybody. Doing justice, restorative justice, and preventative justice. Doing justice is simple, right? We need to uphold the laws. That's important. We have children, and when our children misbehave, they break our rules, we send them to the room, there's consequences, right? The point is to correct their behavior, right? But they have to be held accountable. So we do have to hold people accountable, and that helps us safe. That keeps us safe. So as I look through the lens of, does this make us safer? Yeah, doing justice makes us safer. Restorative justice. When people are arrested and held accountable, we have to restore them. We have to give them hope. If we don't give them hope, guess what? They're going to return back in jail as soon as they get out. We see it time and time again. It's a failed practice. So restoring people in jail, does that make us safer? Absolutely, right? Because restoring them gives them hope. Restoring them educates them. Restoring them provides them with resources that they need so they could be successful once they get out of jail. And thirdly, and I want to touch on the story Megan talked about earlier. I'm glad you brought that up about that boy in the park. It's preventative justice. What I mean by that is we have to address the problem and not the symptoms. And so I think it's important, and I'm committed to make sure that our first responders are trained. They can't be experts in all fields, but they can be assessment experts. They can assess a situation. So by seeing this young man in the park, what's the problem? We can see the symptoms, right? We can see the symptoms, and that's probably why nobody wanted to help him. They were afraid, they were concerned. But if we have assessment experts, they can address the problem and then work with our nonprofit groups, our faith-based groups, to help solve the problem so that they aren't committing crimes. So does that make us safer? Absolutely. We're preventing it before crimes are occurring. So I think my experiences offer me a unique perspective on how I can enforce and we can enforce public safety here in Maricopa County. I'm committed to building upon Sheriff Pinzone's successes and continue to move the Sheriff's Office forward with integrity, accountability, and effective policing. I believe I am the right person at the right time to run the Sheriff's Office. It's too big, it's too important to move backwards, and the other candidates in this race have been under our Joe Arpaio culture for years, and there's too much at stake to go backwards. We have to continue moving forward, and I believe that I possess those skills to get that done. There's two challenges, I believe, and they're one and the same, in my opinion. Staffing is huge. Right now, the Sheriff's Office is down nearly 1,000, or maybe over 1,000 personnel. Not just people on the streets that are working as first responders, but civilian and first responders combined, approximately 1,000. Part of the reason for that is Joe Arpaio, unfortunately. So in 2013, the Sheriff's Office, under Joe Arpaio's leadership, was found guilty of discrimination. They were racially profiling people of color in the community, and so the federal government came over and provided oversight over the Sheriff's Office. It was needed because of the way the Sheriff's Office was being run. Unfortunately, here we are, 10 years later, we're still paying for that oversight. And so that's one of the biggest challenges is to fully comply with the court order and graduate from it. Once that happens, there are certain policies that I will definitely keep in place because it helps continue to build trust with the community. That's vital, that's important. But what it will do is it will free up resources and finances so that we can hire additional personnel and then do a better job protecting the community.